This week we saw some pretty awesome pre-orders come up for the new OLED Switch from Nintendo and the new system from Valve, which is called the Steam Deck. We're going to talk about all that and more in this video. Kind of give some comparisons, what's cool about them, what's not so cool about them, and things like that. What's up, everyone? It's me, your boy Ceddy, Ceddy Knows Tech, and like I said in this video, we're going to talk about the OLED Switch and then the new Valve Steam Deck and kind of give some comparisons, the pros and cons and things like that. But before we get into any of that, you know what time it is? Cue my intro. So we will get started by talking about the release of the new Nintendo OLED Switch. We've been waiting, or actually when I say we, a lot of Nintendo people who has been kind of craving and like big fanboys and girls of the Nintendo Switch have been waiting for an update for the Nintendo Switch. We got a small incremental, I don't even know, was it incremental upgrade not too long ago. They did some slight updates, nothing major. So we was expecting to see maybe a Switch Pro, something more, kind of a 2.0, a Switch 2.0. And we didn't quite get that. Yeah, we didn't get the Switch 2.0. What we did get was a screen update for the Nintendo. So it's an OLED display, which just means that it's a better display, has, is more optimized and things like that, better, for colors and things like that. We didn't get anything like 4K, so it's not like it's a better display as far as 4K or anything like that. It's still pretty much the same internals as the old Switch. They did do a couple updates to it. Like I said, the major one being that the new Switch is OLED. It's an OLED display. It is slightly larger, so now it's a 7-inch display. They did fix the back of the Switch where, the little kickstand. It's now a more kind of full, you can kind of expand it out to set it down in, I guess, tabletop mode or something like that, so that you don't have that little stick that's kind of sticking out in the back that look like it's always going to break off. Yeah, they did fix that, and they did increase the storage capacity from 32 gigs initially to, I believe now it's 64 gigs initially. I have a SD card in mine of, I think, a 512 gig SD card, so that was really never a problem for me. But if you're not putting an SD card in your Switch, that could have been problematic, or you were probably constantly, pulling games in and out and so forth. So they did approach the a few issues that was with the Switch, but it was definitely not a 2.0. Who is this Switch for, I guess you would say? Honestly, I guess, anybody that's really into that screen technology, the screen's going to definitely be better. But if you was expecting faster performance and all that, you're not going to get it here, at least not with this version. And now that we know that this OLED Switch is now coming out, I would just suspect that we're not looking at a 2.0 update for at least another year or two, so it's disappointing in that factor. We wanted such a substantial update that we just didn't get, but I like it. I pre-ordered one. I was able to get my hands on the white one that comes out October 8th. We'll have it here on the channel. We'll do an unboxing and all that kind of stuff, comparing it to the last quote-unquote gen Switch. But I am very much for a person like mobility. Mobility is a big thing for me. So I have a Switch Lite. I never had any problems with my Switch. I never really played my Switch in dock mode. So a lot of people who's looking for updates in the dock, I dock it, get better performance. You're not gonna get it with that. Even though they did add a network adapter to the back of the Switch, to the back of the dock. So technically you can hardwire to the network. But to me that's kind of moot, because unless you just don't have Wi-Fi. But it's not a big substantial update to the old Switch. It is what it is. I got one. I like the bigger screen on it. I like the OLED technology that's going to be on it. I updated because, one for the channel and just this is what I do. So is it worth it? For the majority of people, I'll probably say no. I'll probably just want to say no. It's not probably worth it for the majority of the people, unless you just really want the latest and greatest with all the little, I ain't call them bells and whistles, just the minor updates that Nintendo brought. So that is my spill on the Nintendo OLED Switch. We'll have it here on the channel, but don't really expect anything major from this update. A larger screen, which is worth it. A larger screen. That's the OLED screen. The little, like I said, the kickstand, the internal memory, that kind of thing, but nothing substantial that's gonna just blow your mind away, spec wise. So yeah, disappointing, but it is what it is. Next up, we have the company Valve, and you probably remember, if you probably remember them at all, is you're probably a Steam, player. You get a lot of your games on Steam, and you can play them through Steam and so forth. So they're a company that's big in the gaming market, and things of that nature. They came out with their own gaming unit called the Steam Deck, and immediately when we saw this, we were like, "Oh wow, that is sick." Specification wise, this thing is fire, but after we get over the initial oohs and ahs of what Valve did, you kind of start thinking about it. Is this truly a Switch killer? Because a lot of people, a lot of reviewers want to say, "Oh, this is the Switch killer. This is going to kill the Switch." And I'm gonna be frank with you. I don't think that is true. I know that's not true. While the Steam Deck does have promise and does have a lot of specifications and cool features that's next generation and so forth, in all essence, the Steam Deck is nothing more than a gaming PC with a screen and controllers. And that's not a bad thing. But it does bring up some very, questions about it going head to head with the Switch. Now, the first thing is that it comes in 3 configurations. It comes in a, I think, 64 gig version, which is a slower hard drive. It's a much lower hard drive space-wise, and it's a slower hard drive. Then you have the 256 and the 512, which are both SSDs, with the 512 being the fastest SSD and things of that nature. I think it's NVMe and things to that nature. So they definitely put some specifications on it, especially with the higher end ones, the 256 and the 512, that very much says, okay, this is a gaming machine that can probably do some serious gaming on it. We pre-ordered I pre-ordered for, the channel and so forth, the 512. Will I get it soon? Yeah, with the silicon shortage that's kind of currently happening, I honestly don't see this thing launching at the end of the year. Already, we starting to see ship dates slip into the Q2 2022, which is where mine's is at currently. So I would not get mine's on launch day, sadly. But I really don't even see the people that's going to get it, that they claim the December of 2021. I'm talking about, they may prove us wrong, but I don't see it because there's just a lot of shortages with the components that's needed to build these machines, with the graphics cards and all that. It is an AMD machine, so it's using an AMD processor and things like that. The operating system that's on the Steam Deck is called SteamOS, but it has been revealed that you can wipe that and put like Windows 10 on it, because for all intent purposes, this is a desktop computer with a, like I said, screen and controller. So, that's what it is. It is a computer that you will game on. Matter of fact, Valve is actually creating a docking station that you can actually dock it directly to your monitor and so forth, so that you can use it in more of a desktop computer capacity. And that's probably where it will be best at, because let's be honest, battery technology has not caught up with where other technologies such as mobile systems and things like that has gotten to. So I know that I have a Zephyrus G14 for my gaming laptop, and if I unplug and just play it, play on it just regular, I'm getting about, depending on what game I'm playing, but let's be honest, most of us we're not going to all be playing, Roblox or, things like Minecraft. You're going to want to play more substantial titles, more AAA titles on these things, on your gaming machine. And with that said, you're going to take a severe battery hit. So on my big Zephyrus G14, unplugged, I'm getting about 2 hours. And it's got a pretty hefty battery in it. So shrink that down now and put that into a system that's more mobile. Yeah, I see that battery lasting, honestly, an hour, hour and a half. And I know that Steam is saying, oh, it's 2 hours or 7 hours. We all know that companies blow those numbers completely out of the water and have some very unrealistic workflows, how they get those numbers to make their numbers look good for marketing purposes. But let's talk about reality. We know that those numbers aren't going to hold in the real world once you start playing things like Overwatch, or Modern Warfare, Warzone, things like that. Those numbers are going to tank severely unplugged. So that's the first big con about the system, is that I don't see the battery life lasting 2 to 7 hours. I see it lasting an hour, hour and a half tops before you have to plug in. The second thing is, if you look at the actual device, the device is very big and, kind of weird. The buttons kind of flood to the side very tightly to the edge of the device. And, utilizing systems like the Switch and things like that, you really want to have your hands on the device in a way that you can grip it properly and give your thumbs a place to rest when you're not doing things actively with it. And I'm not seeing that on the Steam Deck. I'm not seeing that area right off, because they literally have the buttons being flushed to the edge of the device. So it doesn't look comfortable. It looks heavy and it looks uncomfortable to use for long periods of time. So where I see the Steam Deck working is for a person who's, I don't know, maybe mobile. They don't want to carry their big, maybe gaming desktop or, gaming laptop. They can grab their Steam Deck and take it with them. But I see them very much being tied to a power outlet, and it don't look comfortable. And I might be completely wrong about the comfort, because comfort is different, per person. And I agree that's subjective, but I don't see that being very comfortable in the long term. So that part, that's just my little spill on initial reveal of the Valve Steam Deck. It looks awesome. Spec-wise, it's great. I don't see the battery holding up very long at all in such a small machine, pushing that kind of CPU and GPU power, as well as it just looks big and unwieldy and kind of just not comfortable. So, like I said, I did get one. I got the 512 version. I got to get one. I got to test it. So we do have one. Eventually, sometime in 2022, I'll get it. And we'll talk about that on the channel at that point in time. So Steam Deck versus the OLED Switch. Will the Steam Deck kill the Switch? No. And for various reasons, it failed. To me, it looks like it's going to fail in the mobility, part section, like people who's very, want mobile gaming devices. Me, I don't see that. I don't see the Switch being beat by the Steam Deck. And another thing, the Steam Deck is not a new idea. Don't think that Valve did something that's revolutionary. There are systems on the market right now from Amazon. You go to Amazon and you look up mobile gaming consoles or units, you will see there's a couple companies that's already did exactly what the Steam Deck did. Granted, the Steam Deck looks a little bit more refined and things of that nature, but this concept of mobile gaming units is not new, and they haven't really taken off all that much. And I think that's what the Steam Deck is going to be at. It's going to be a device that's sought after by some mobile gamers, but I think that the overwhelming people that's looking for mobile gaming is going to stick with the Switch just because it's lighter. And don't ever forget about the power of software. I say this all the time on the channel. Hardware, you can have the best hardware in the world, but if you don't have the operating system and the software to support it, it means nothing. And not saying that Valve doesn't have the software to support it, But when you think about gaming, especially some of these IP titles that Nintendo holds, Mario, Donkey Kong, Zelda, Kirby, Smash Brothers, Metroid, all these big IPs that nobody can play, but you can only play them on a Switch. Pokemon, like all these major this IPs that Nintendo holds. That is why Nintendo is so powerful. This is not a specification war. That train has and that boat has sailed a long time ago. Specifications mean absolutely zero today, as long as it plays and does what people want it to do. We've seen that all the time. You'll see these iPhone versus Android, Windows versus Mac. It's not all about specifications. It's about what people really want to use and how they want to use it, and the apps and the services that they want to use with it. And if that doesn't translate over to your hardware, it doesn't mean anything. So for gaming, like I said, the battery power, if I can only play the thing detached from a power outlet for an hour, and I can get on my Switch Lite, for instance, on my OLED Switch and play for 3 hours, from a mobility standpoint, people are going to choose a Switch. If they want to play the new Mario Brothers, the new Zelda, Breath of the Wild, they want to play Smash Brothers, you can't play those games on Valve. You can't play those games on the the Steam Deck. You can only play those games on Nintendo systems. And that exclusive right to play those games on those systems is paramount when it comes to selling consoles to gamers. Because gamers, as long as the game plays, that's really what they care about, and they want it to play well. And there's not a problem for the most part of games not playing well on the Switch. I never really had one. It's all about what games I want to play. We just got the new Skyward Sword. That's all my son cared about. He doesn't care about if it plays on a Steam Deck or whatever. He cares about, I want to play Skyward Sword and it plays on a Switch. So I must have a Switch. So therefore, what console at that point in time is more important to him? Something that's got this beautiful specification list, or something that's a little less powered but can play the game that he wants? And that's where Nintendo shines at. So the Switch Deck is not going to kill the Switch, not Switch Deck, Jesus. The Steam Deck is not going to kill the Switch by any stretch of the imagination. The Steam Deck already exists today by other companies, just called other things. So I'm talking about, if you really want a desktop computer, there are Intel has small gaming units that has RTX 3050s and things to that nature, that you can play these games if you just want a small form factor. But see, that's not what people's asking for. They're looking for mobile units. So that's why I think it's going to be more important. And that's why I think that Nintendo's going to continue to win this war of mobile gaming until somebody come up with an IP or something that rivals Nintendo, which I don't see, and can put it on a system that that's mobile, has the battery power and things of that nature. So with that said, that's all I have in this video. Just want to kind of talk about the new Nintendo OLED Switch and the Valve Steam Deck. Like I said, I do have both on pre-order. We will, as they come in, I guess with the OLED Switch coming first, because that has a solid release date of October 8th. We will have that on the channel. We'll be examining that more closely and comparing it to the quote-unquote last-gen Nintendo Switch. And then eventually, at some point, we will get the Steam Deck in stock whenever they can get it released and so forth and made. We have that ordered and ready to go. So we'll take a look at these more closely as they come in and do a more comprehensive review on them. But until then, as always, stay geeky, stay techie, Ceddy out.